AITA for refusing to babysit my sister's kid when even my parents are pushing me to say yes. I'm a 16-year-old guy, and I've got a situation that's been eating at me for the past week. It's about my older sister, who's 20, and recently had a baby with her husband. I haven't met the baby yet, and to be honest, I'm not all that bothered if I never do. But despite that, my sister, backed by my parents, has decided that I need to babysit her son right after school until 11 p.m. every night. That's about 7 hours each day, and it's expected to be indefinite. I'm supposed to give up my own life and my part-time job to take care of a kid I've never met and might not even be allowed to consider my nephew. Let me back up a little and explain why this feels so messed up. My sister and I have never been close. She's always had a mean streak, and she made sure I was exposed to it pretty much every day growing up. We're 4 years apart, but that gap felt more like a chasm. She's been pretty cruel to me for as long as I can remember, almost like it was a hobby for her. When we were kids, she'd find ways to make my life miserable, whether it was by mocking me in front of our friends, making fun of my clothes, or twisting my words to get me in trouble. It wasn't just your typical sibling bickering, she was outright mean. She'd go out of her way to embarrass me in front of people, like that time I was in middle school and she told everyone at her high school that I still slept with a stuffed animal. I didn't, but she said it to humiliate me, and it worked. She knew exactly how to get under my skin, and she did it with this smirk on her face, like she was proud of how easy it was to hurt me. Even after she moved out to live with her now husband, she still found ways to take shots at me. Whenever she came home to visit, she'd make these snide comments about how I was still living under our parents' roof, still in high school, still without a real job. It's like she was trying to remind me that she had her life all figured out, married, a baby on the way, while I was just a kid with no direction. Our parents, though, they act like she's some kind of golden child who can do no wrong. They're so proud of her for getting married and having a baby at 20, like she's living out the ultimate dream or something. They brag to their friends about how she's such a young, responsible mother, as if getting pregnant at 19 and rushing into marriage was a huge accomplishment. Meanwhile, they're constantly on my case, making it clear that I should want my life to turn out the same way. They've got this whole idea in their heads that I should be following in her footsteps, and it doesn't matter how different I am or how differently I want to live my life. It feels like they've been setting me up to fail by holding me to her standard, and she knows it. She uses it against me whenever she gets the chance, like she enjoys reminding me how much they adore her and how much they just tolerate me. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything, but the way they go on about her, you'd think she was some kind of saint. It's like they can't see past her smile and the fact that she's given them their first grandchild. All the stuff she's said to me over the years, all the cruel little digs and insults, none of that matters to them because she's doing everything right. They expect me to just ignore all of that and be there for her, no questions asked, like I'm supposed to forget how she's treated me just because she's got a baby now. When my sister was pregnant, she told me she wanted to name her son Theo. Problem was, my name is Theo. She literally told me she wanted me to change my name so she could use it for her baby. Can you imagine? It was like she thought I was just going to roll over and agree to erase part of my identity because she decided it was inconvenient for her. I said no, obviously, because it's my name, and it's not like I'm gonna change it just because she wants to copy it for her kid. She acted like I was the one being unreasonable, like I was selfish for not wanting to give up my name just to make things easier for her. She got mad and started saying all this nasty stuff about how I'm a waste of oxygen and how it's ridiculous that she can't use the name because of me. She even went on this rant about how she was trying to do something special for her son, and I was ruining it because I'm too stubborn to just change my name. I don't think I've ever seen someone get so angry over something so ridiculous. She eventually settled on a different name, but she's never let go of the fact that I ruined her original plan. She still brings it up whenever she's in the mood to remind me how much she dislikes me. It's not even about the name at this point. It's about the fact that she didn't get what she wanted, and she blames me for it. That kind of entitlement sums up a lot of who she is. She expects everything to go her way, and if it doesn't, she throws a fit until someone gives in. It's been like this for as long as I can remember, and I'm tired of it. Fast forward to about a week ago, when my sister decided that I was going to be her free babysitter. I guess she's going back to work or something, and her husband also works, so they need someone to watch their son. Rather than looking for a babysitter they'd have to pay, my sister figured she'd just dump that responsibility on me. She didn't really ask, she kind of just told me, like it was a done deal. She was like, "You'll watch the baby after school, until my husband gets home around 11, it's no big deal. You don't have anything better to do, and it's not like you need the money from your part-time job." The way she said it was so casual, like it wasn't even a request. She didn't care that I might have plans, that I might want to keep my job, or that maybe, just maybe, I don't want to spend my afternoons and evenings taking care of a baby that I had no say in bringing into this world. It was like she just assumed I'd drop everything to make her life easier because, in her mind, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm not a person to her, I'm a solution to her problem, and she doesn't see why I wouldn't want to help her out. She didn't even try to make it sound like she was asking for a favor. She just made it clear that she expected me to do it, no questions asked. And if I had a problem with it, well, that was just too bad because she was going to get her way one way or another. I immediately said no. I've got a job, and it's important to me. It's not just about the money, although I do like having my own cash to spend on things. It's about having a little bit of independence, and I'm actually pretty good at what I do. My job might not be the most glamorous or high-paying, but it's mine. I earned it, and I feel proud when I get my paycheck and know that I've worked for it. It gives me a sense of freedom. I can buy the things I want, save up for stuff that matters to me, and not have to ask my parents for everything. Plus, having a job means I get to be around other people who aren't my family, and I like that. It's a small break from all the drama at home, and I get to feel like I'm doing something useful and normal for a change. Giving that up to babysit my sister's kid every day felt like it would be a step backward, and I didn't see why I should be forced to give up my own time and life to help someone who's treated me like crap for years. She's never done anything to make my life easier, and yet she expects me to just drop everything for her now. It felt wrong, like she was trying to control me, just like she always has. I'm tired of being her punching bag, and I'm not about to let her take away the one thing I've managed to build for myself. So I told her no, plain and simple. I thought that would be the end of it, but of course, that's not how my sister operates. She basically just said, "Well, you're going to do it. I'll get mom and dad to make you." It wasn't even a threat, it was a statement of fact, like she'd already decided how things were going to play out. And that's exactly what she did. She ran crying to our parents about how she needed help and how I was being selfish by not stepping up for family. It was like she was reading from a script, playing the victim so perfectly that our parents didn't even think twice before siding with her. They've always been soft on her, and I guess she knew they'd jump in to back her up if she played her cards right. My parents were on her side immediately, and they sat me down to lecture me about how it would be good for me to spend time with my nephew and help my sister out. They went on and on about family values and how sometimes we need to make sacrifices for the people we love. But the way they were talking, it felt like they were trying to guilt-trip me into submission, like I was some kind of heartless monster for not wanting to be her personal, unpaid babysitter. They said I should think of it as getting quality time with him, which is pretty ironic because up until now, I wasn't even allowed to see him. When he was born, my sister made it clear I wasn't welcome to come meet him with the rest of the family because, according to her, I'm still in school, and he was a newborn. She acted like my mere presence was a threat to her perfect little family setup, and now, all of a sudden, she's trying to pretend like it would be this great bonding experience for me to look after her kid. It was obvious she didn't care about me spending time with him. She just wanted someone to watch him for free, and I was the easiest option. I pointed that out to my parents, and they just brushed it off, like it was no big deal. They said it was different now because she needed help, and that's what family does. They kept repeating that same line, "That's what family does," like it was supposed to be some magical phrase that would make everything okay. But it didn't make any sense. It's not like I'm refusing to help out once in a while. They're asking me to give up my job and spend every day after school until late at night watching a baby I never even got to meet in the first place. And for what? Just so my sister can have things exactly the way she wants. They even went as far as to say that my sister would be doing me a favor by letting me babysit, as if I should be grateful for the opportunity. The way they said it, It was like they were trying to make it sound like I'd be gaining something out of this, like I'd be lucky to be a part of her son's life, even though she's made it clear I'm barely considered family. It didn't make any sense, so I asked them straight up why they were so dead set on making me babysit for someone who's made it clear she doesn't even want me around her kid. I thought they'd at least take a moment to think about it, but instead, they just doubled down. They started to get angry, saying that I was being difficult and ungrateful, and they couldn't understand why I wouldn't want to help out. They said it was my duty as her brother, that I should be happy to support her now that she's a new mother. It felt like they were trying to rewrite the whole narrative to make it seem like I was the one being unreasonable, and it made my head spin. They didn't want to hear anything I had to say. Every time I tried to explain why this wasn't fair, they'd interrupt me or dismiss my concerns like they were nothing. "Stop being so selfish, Theo," they'd say, or, "Your sister needs you right now, can't you see that?" But it wasn't about her needing me, it was about her wanting to control me, and them letting her. They've always put her first, and I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that they'd do it again, but it still hurt. It felt like they were choosing her over me, like my needs and my feelings didn't matter as long as she got what she wanted. Then things got even weirder. My sister, with her usual bluntness, told me, point blank, that if I did end up babysitting, her son would never know I was his uncle. She said she'd make sure he only thought of me as the babysitter, not a part of the family. I just sat there, stunned, trying to wrap my head around what she was saying. It was one of those moments where you're not sure if you're hearing things right because it's so unbelievably cruel. She was looking me dead in the eyes, completely serious, and explaining that she was going to make sure her son never saw me as anything more than some random guy hired to watch him. Not family, not his uncle, just the babysitter. It wasn't just the words that hurt, it was the way she said it, so casually, like this was a perfectly normal thing to say. There was no hesitation, no sign that she realized how messed up it was. It was like she was stating a fact, something she had already decided, and there was no room for argument. She doesn't want people to know we're related, and she didn't even try to soften the blow. She laid it all out there, as if she was proud of how she had it all planned. And what's worse, she actually admitted, that she doesn't even want me around her kid. She made it clear she'd rather pretend I don't exist, but at the same time, she still thinks it's totally fine to make me take care of him for hours every single day after school, just because, in her mind, it's convenient and she wouldn't have to pay me. It's the ultimate irony. She wants to use me but doesn't want to acknowledge me. It's like she's stripping away any sense of family connection between us, and then expecting me to be okay with that while still making myself available to serve her needs. And our parents? They're completely backing her up on this. They're not just ignoring the situation, they're actively supporting it. They even said they'd make sure I don't do anything dumb like demand money for it, as if expecting to be paid for hours and hours of babysitting is some kind of outrageous, greedy request. It's like they're perfectly fine with her treating me like this, and they don't see anything wrong with it because, to them, whatever she wants must be right. I told my sister there's no way I'm quitting my job to be her unpaid babysitter, and she just laughed. It wasn't a normal laugh, either. It was that kind of smug, mocking laugh that she does when she thinks she's already won. She said I wouldn't have a choice because if she keeps pushing, our parents will march over to my workplace and make me quit. I honestly couldn't believe she was saying that. It's one thing for her to be pushy and demanding, but to be so confident that she could manipulate our parents into doing something so extreme, that really messed with my head. She's so sure of herself, so convinced that they'll take her side no matter what, that she's already planning out how to make it happen. It's like she's got this whole game planned, and I'm just a piece she can move around however she likes. The worst part is, she's probably right. My parents even threatened to do exactly that, saying they could force me to quit if they wanted. They said it so casually, like it was no big deal, as if they were talking about rearranging furniture or something. I tried to argue back, to make them see how ridiculous this whole thing was, but it felt like talking to a brick wall. It didn't matter how many times I told them I didn't want to do this, or how unfair it was to ask me to give up my job. They just kept repeating the same things over and over, like they had already made up their minds and nothing I said could change that. It felt suffocating, like I was trapped, and no matter what I did, they'd find a way to force me into this. I told them straight up that I'd still say no, even if they did manage to get me fired. And that I'd have no money of my own, which would be a problem for them too because they'd have to start paying for everything. That seemed to give them pause for a moment, but not enough to actually stop pressuring me. Every day, they're still on my case, trying to wear me down. They keep saying it's just a matter of time before I give in, like it's inevitable. And my sister. She's been texting me non-stop, like she's on some kind of mission to break me. Her texts are brutal. She's not even trying to hide how much she despises me. She calls me things like a wasted life and a pathetic, useless little boy who was a mistake from the moment I was born. Those words have been echoing in my head ever since she said them. I don't know how someone can say that kind of stuff to their own brother and not feel even a little bit guilty. It's like she's on this power trip, and she knows exactly how to hit where it hurts the most. I've always known she didn't like me, but this is a whole different level. It's like she's trying to destroy whatever little bit of confidence or self-respect I have left. And yet, even with all that, she still wants me to babysit. It doesn't make any sense. If she hates me so much, why is she so desperate to have me take care of her kid? I don't know if she actually believes everything she's saying, or if she just knows it gets under my skin and enjoys the reaction. Either way, it's exhausting. Every day, I have to see her messages, hear my parents nagging at me, and try to stand my ground. It's like being under constant attack, and I don't know how much longer I can keep it up. I'm trying to hold my own, but it feels like it's me against my whole family. Part of me wonders if I'm being unreasonable, if maybe I'm just making a big deal out of nothing. But then I think about everything they're asking me to give up, and how little they're willing to acknowledge my own needs, and it just feels wrong. This whole thing is insane, and I shouldn't have to give up my job, my time, and my dignity just to make my sister's life a little easier. But right now, it feels like I'm fighting a battle I can't win. I'm my asshole. Update. A few days after the whole argument with my parents, I thought maybe things had finally settled down. I hadn't heard much from my sister, and my parents had eased off on their constant nagging. Maybe they'd realized how unreasonable they were being, or maybe my sister had found another solution. Honestly, I was just glad for the break. I went to work, focused on my classes, and tried to get back to some kind of normal. But of course, that was just wishful thinking. One afternoon, I got home from school, still wearing my uniform, ready to grab a quick snack before heading off to my part-time job. The house was quiet, and I thought I had the place to myself. I had barely set my bag down when I heard the doorbell. I went to open it, and there she was. My sister stood on the doorstep, holding her baby, with that same smug look on her face that always made my stomach twist. For a second, I just stood there, confused. She hadn't said anything to me since the last argument, so I had no idea what she was doing here. I didn't have to wonder for long. Without even bothering to come inside, she handed the baby over to me, just like that, and said, "He'll be with you until tonight." Consider it a training session. I could barely process what she was saying. It wasn't a request, it was a statement, like she was telling me the weather. I stood there, dumbfounded, holding my nephew who I had barely even seen since he was born, while my sister acted like she had just dropped off a bag of groceries. She didn't explain anything, didn't ask if it was okay, just told me this was happening and then turned to leave. I managed to stammer out something, trying to tell her I had to work, that I couldn't just drop everything to babysit. But she just shrugged, as if it was the most irrelevant thing she'd ever heard, and said, "I sent you the schedule in your messenger. Follow it. If you have any problems, figure it out. I'll be back tonight." And with that, she was gone. She didn't even give me a chance to argue. She just left, walking back to her car like she had done her good deed for the day. I was still standing there, shocked, holding a tiny human who had started squirming in my arms. I didn't even know what to do. I had no idea how to take care of a baby, and I certainly didn't want to be stuck figuring it out on the fly, especially not like this. But there I was, holding my nephew, while my sister was driving away, without a second thought. I checked my phone, and sure enough, there were messages from her, detailing exactly what I was supposed to do, like I was a hired babysitter who had already agreed to the job. She had written out feeding times, nap schedules, what to do if he cried, everything. She had planned this, and it was clear she had every intention of making this a regular thing. I was furious, but more than that, I felt trapped. I couldn't just leave him there, but I also couldn't believe she had the audacity to dump her kid on me without any warning. I spent the next few hours trying to follow her instructions, which was a nightmare. The baby wouldn't stop crying, and I had no idea how to calm him down. I tried feeding him, rocking him, everything I could think of, but nothing seemed to work for more than a few minutes. I was completely out of my depth, and every time I glanced at the clock, I felt this sinking feeling in my chest, knowing that I should have been at my job, earning my own money and getting a break from all this family drama. By the time evening rolled around, I was exhausted. My sister showed up exactly when she said she would, and the first thing she did was ask if I had followed her schedule. She wasn't even looking at me when she said it. She was just scrolling through her phone, barely paying attention. I felt like a servant reporting to a boss, not a brother trying to help out. When I told her I managed, she just nodded, like that was exactly what she expected, and then told me she'd be bringing him over again tomorrow, so I should be ready and not plan anything else. She said it like it was a done deal, like she had already decided I was her new full-time babysitter and I didn't have a say in the matter. That was the final straw for me. I had been too shocked to do anything when she dropped him off, but there was no way I was going to let this become my new reality. I told her, flat out, that I wasn't going to do this again. I wasn't going to be her backup plan, her free babysitter, and she couldn't just dictate my life like that. I had my own commitments, and I wasn't going to give them up just because she decided I should. I expected her to blow up at me, maybe start yelling, but she didn't. Instead, she just gave me this cold, calculating look and said, "Fine, I'll talk to Mom and Dad about this." Then she left, just like that. She didn't argue, didn't try to convince me, just said she was going to bring our parents into it again, as if that was her ace in the hole. As if they were the final authority, and once they weighed in, I'd have no choice but to comply. It was like she knew exactly how to play this game, and she was so confident that she would win. I stood there, still holding the baby's diaper bag, feeling this horrible mix of anger and helplessness. I couldn't believe how far she was willing to go to get her way, how little she cared about my life or what I wanted. I'm not sure what bothered me more, the fact that she was willing to use our parents to strong-arm me into submission, or the fact that she had no problem turning me into her unpaid babysitter without even pretending to respect me. It was like she was making a point, proving to herself that she could control me and make me do whatever she wanted, and our parents were more than willing to back her up on it. I knew she probably talked to them as soon as she got home, spinning the whole thing to make herself sound like the victim who just needed a little help, and me as the selfish and grateful brother who refused to step up. I was already exhausted from just one afternoon of babysitting, and the thought of having to go through this fight again, of having to keep saying no over and over while they all tried to wear me down, felt overwhelming. I hope parents will understand that this is unfair. Then she left, just like that. She didn't argue, didn't try to convince me, just said she was going to bring our parents into it again, as if that was her ace in the hole. As if they were the final authority, and once they weighed in, I'd have no choice but to comply. It was like she knew exactly how to play this game, and she was so confident that she would win. I stood there, still holding the baby's diaper bag, feeling this horrible mix of anger and helplessness. I couldn't believe how far she was willing to go to get her way, how little she cared about my life or what I wanted. I'm not sure what bothered me more, the fact that she was willing to use our parents to strong-arm me into submission, or the fact that she had no problem turning me into her unpaid babysitter without even pretending to respect me. It was like she was making a point, proving to herself that she could control me and make me do whatever she wanted, and our parents were more than willing to back her up on it. I knew she probably talked to them as soon as she got home, spinning the whole thing to make herself sound like the victim who just needed a little help, and me as the selfish and grateful brother who refused to step up. I was already exhausted from just one afternoon of babysitting, and the thought of having to go through this fight again, of having to keep saying no over and over while they all tried to wear me down, felt overwhelming. I hope parents will understand that this is unfair. I would appreciate your thoughts on this.